What is good, y'all? It's Ronald, also known as Youcapper from Sportsmemo.com. We got another full house in on the show today. We got Chris be capping, Mitch and Ness, and then Munaf is in the building as well. And we got another buddy on here, Joey, just joining us right now. Um, Man, yesterday was a very profitable show. I think most of you guys showed up yesterday, and we did really well yesterday. I know some of us were watching that Celtics game last night, going off in the chat. Two games actually. The Sixers. We had the under on the Sixers game. That one was sweaty. Celtics. A lot of the guys in the chat had the Celtics that on that game. Tatum went off. Man, how was you guys' day yesterday? Chris, let's start with you. I forgot.
Yeah. Nah, we can start with me. I see that's totally fine. So first off, as always, man, appreciate you having me on the show. Yesterday, 2-2 day for me, RC, because Joel Embiid decided to get 7 rebounds instead of 10. So I had the player prop double with him and AD. AD crushed the double, of course. So that didn't cash. Also had the who else did I have? I had the what other? I had a loss yesterday. Oh, Phoenix Suns did not show up yesterday. Went to bed in the first quarter, minus the 1.5. But we did cash on the Bucks. You talked me on the Bucks, so shout out to you for that one. And then what was the other cash? I had another cash on. Oh, the under. We played the under. We were both on the right side in the Kings game against the 76ers yesterday. Even though that was the sweat one, RC.
That was sweaty. Yeah.
Sacramento didn't bring their defense with them, but we still cashed on that one. You know, when the game got
hopefully they bring it with them today, though. Munaf, how'd your day go yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday wasn't too bad. I had the over in the Celtics and Lakers game. That was my biggest play of the day. That one got a bit lucky there as it went to overtime.
No doubter in that one, right?
Yeah, no doubter. Sweat free there, but that was my biggest play. Embiid let me down. I had his rebounds as well, over 10.5, but I think he only finished the game with 7. But yeah, I mean, not a lot of action yesterday. But yeah, my biggest play was Lakers over. That got there, thankfully. I just also had my hometown Rockets in that game. We talked about it in the chat. I talked about it on my show as well. This team, they want to win games despite them projected to be one of the worst in the league, especially at home. They've been good. Shout out to Wham. He's been talking about Jabari and the Rockets at home in the first half, especially. So yeah, those were a couple of my looks yesterday.
Joey, how'd you do? I know you came through at the end of the show yesterday, dropped some Buck stuff, right? How'd you do?
I did well. I came through here. Actually, I gave the Draymond points under. That cash relatively easy. He only played 23 minutes, but I had Bucks first half, full game. Talked about that with Chris a little earlier in the day, and then I lost with the Kings, but that was over after the first quarter, so it didn't really sting too bad. So it was a good day.
Yeah. Mitch, I know you first show with us yesterday. Did a really good job. I know you brought some great stats as well. How was your day yesterday?
Yesterday was pretty good. My favorite play of the day was a no good one. Mr. Bridges was what was he? I think 4 for 24. I think finished 2 for 10 from 3. He was really trying for us, but he didn't quite get to that over 2.5. Cash on that Celtics first quarter. Ended up playing the trifecta. We hit with Bucks. That was all kind of like a team play there. We all kind of agreed on that Bucks play. Yourself, me, and Chris agreed on that 76ers Kings under. You talked us into that one. So yeah, it was all in all day pretty good. Tailed Chris on that Phoenix Suns. They didn't show up, but hey, it's the way it goes. And we're back today. So let's cash.
Yeah. So since we got such a big slate today, I know we're not going to be able to break every single game down. But I do want to talk to you guys about some of your favorite bets of the day. Chris, let's start with you here. What is one of your favorite ones to look at? And what we'll do is break it down on the side here as you kind of go through your analysis, so we could just show the rest of the viewers how we look at these games from a analytical standpoint.
Yeah, RC. So I got a couple looks. A few of my favorite looks so far has actually been player props. But since we're on SDQL, let's go with a side that I'm looking at. I'm looking at the Toronto Raptors, bounce back spot for them, specifically in the first half, RC. So I'm gonna tell you what I got, and then you can just pull up the trend, right? So of course we know that the Raptors, they function a lot better at home than they do on the road. They're off 2 days rest as well. Should be a motivation spot coming off both of the losses to the Orlando Magic last week. One of the things I looked at, RC, was the Toronto Raptors as a home favorite when they're more rested than their opponent. So we can look at that. That's pretty simple one.
Yep, 3-1 straight up in ATS.
Right. So I'm looking at the first half specifically, RC, because they score more points when they're rested, in the first half, right? You see 61 there and it looks like they're giving up about 49, right?
That's a huge margin.
It's a huge margin. Of course, a lot of that comes from the Lakers game where, they didn't have Bron, they didn't have AD. It was the second night of back-to-back without those guys playing. So, looking to target the Raptors in this one because of that. Another real quick one, RC, I don't want to take too much time, but, the Kings back-to-back, third game in 4 nights, fifth game of a 6-game road trip as well. And the Kings, let's look at the Kings, RC, as away dogs when they're at the rest disadvantage, specifically in the first half as well. So Kings, rest disadvantage, and then away dog.
Got you. Yeah. So as dogs, they've been okay. So as dogs on the short line, they're able to take care of business.
Mm-hmm. But specifically in the first half, RC, you see they're giving up 30 points in the first quarter, 35 in the second quarter. So giving up 60 points, only scoring about 61. So that's a 4-point gap there. When you add in what we just talked about with the Raptors being home favorites with more rest, I think it's a big motivational spot for the Raptors as well. So coming off the 2 losses, being back at home, being more rested. So I played the Raptors -2.5 in the first half, RC. With of course I got more data, but I think these are the just the 2 things that you can kind of look at, based on the queries.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I had to look towards the under in this one too, and your query here kind of kind of supports it there. Did any of you guys have a look on this Kings Raptors game as well?
Well, we just sort of chatted about it. Chris and myself and Munaf. We're looking at this Kings team total under. Just correlates with what you had in your triple-double show there, Ronald, how you're playing that, how you like that under for the full game. Kings have gone, I believe it was they've gone to their team total under 1-8 on the road. So in the only time that they've gone over was first game of the season against the Warriors. You guys just spelled this one out for me, and it's looks pretty damn good, especially against a sticky Raptors team. This total looks like it's way too high. Raptors play some great defense, and they're back at the house. So Raptors are a different animal back at the house. Sacramento just doesn't seem to have it together right now. They're on a back-to-back rest disadvantage. Got to go through customs. Seems like they don't really come out with the guns firing tonight.
Yeah, a lot of things to me, like I mentioned in triple double show, is pointing towards the under. You can see this one here, just Kings as road dogs in general, 8-2 to the under. And if I think they've gone under in 5 of their last 6 as well. I know Fox has been out in a few of those games, but you can see yesterday their offense is still struggling, especially on the road here. And I think that continues tonight because the Raptors, they're one of the better defensive teams in the league. If we just bring up Raptors at home here, you can see they're only allowing 106.8, and we have a total of 232. A lot of things to me are just saying like this number is way too high. And I know it's been going up. I don't really see why, to be honest. If we look more into the Raptors at home, if we look at their if we just sort this by line here, you can see as double digit favorites, they've been going over, but primarily other than that, everything for the most part is going towards the under here. Right here you can see most of these games when they're not double digit favorites, they're going under. And so that's the way that I was looking at. I'm pretty sure that's going to make my premium card. It's just the 2 things is Kings struggling offensively on the road. Raptors are very dominant defensively at home. I don't know. That's the way that I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I think you can catch that Kings at around 113 and a half.
The team
right
total
now. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah,
it makes sense. The team total makes sense, but to me, I think just both teams combined should even make it go under even further, especially if the Raptors control the pace of the game, because I think they're bottom 5 right now in the last 10 games as far as pace goes. All right, so anyone else had a look on this one? I think Chris. Sorry, like food all over the place here. So Chris, you like the Raptors in this one. Did anyone else have a look?
I like the Raptors first half minus the 2.5 RC, and I'm probably gonna get there on the under as well. We kind of live capped that one yesterday. Why we liked it against Philly. Two really solid defensive teams. They play. I think the biggest difference between Philly and Toronto is, not having a guy like Embiid to kind of dominate the paint. So I expect the Kings defense to play a little bit better, even though they are on the second night of a back-to-back 3rd and 4. I expect it to be a lower scoring game. So I would, I like the under as well, but I'm official on the Raptors minus the 2.5 in the first half.
Got you. Okay, cool. Let's go with Joey. What do you got? What do you got going on? What do you think it would be your best bet today?
Yeah, so I was looking at the Trailblazers and the Spurs game. So you got the Spurs on a 3-game win streak right now, and you got the Blazers and Damian Lillard specifically, who are as hot as ever. But what I was targeting here was the first quarter, and specifically to this first quarter total of 59.5. The Blazers are 6-21 to the under, and the Spurs are 13-14 to that under. We were looking at the Blazers on the road, their pace on the road, and how they perform versus lower competition. And then I also brought into account, because the Spurs are on this 3-game win streak, Popovich kind of came back in, whipped them up, said, maybe we're not going out like this. They've been bringing the defense too. Their last 3 first quarters have gone under this mark. And to get even more in depth, you got the Spurs, who are 10-17 to their first quarter team total on this season. And you got the Blazers, who are 12-15 to their first quarter team total on the season. So I think a lot of people are looking at this game. They see Lillard. They see the Spurs, who they think are tanking and not that good, won't play defense. They see points. I don't see points in this first quarter. I like the under 59.5.
59.5. Okay, so just that's a good point. So that's why I was waiting for that number, because if we just look at the Blazers on the road, that first quarter, the first half they do score a lot more points than the second half. You can see that here on the splits. But in that first quarter, they're averaging less than that 59.5. I think to your point, they look at pace of play and the Spurs, how the Spurs have been doing, overall, right? And they're probably just giving up a higher number because of that.
RC, real quick before you delete that, one of the other things me and Joey kind of made mention of, if you look at the Trailblazers away versus teams that have 40% win percentage or less, right? Because we know teams play down the competition, they play up the competition. That first quarter total drops even lower too. So I think that was important to mention.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. 27.8 for the Blazers versus 25.8 for the opponent. What did you guys look at on the Spurs side?
More so just recently, since they've been playing well. Last few games, they are off the 3-game win streak. They beat the Rockets last week. Then they went to Miami, got a win, and came back home, and handled the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like when was that? Last night? Night before last? I feel like all the days.
A couple of nights ago. But to piggyback off what he was saying, I know it's a smaller sample size, but I mainly looked at the last 3 games for the Spurs, because that's when Pop came back in, and whatever he said to them in the locker room. I mean, we know how respectable of a coach Pop is. Seems like they listened. So I was looking at the last few games for the Spurs.
Yeah, and it looks like their pace, they've been playing a slower pace as well, because I thought they played a faster pace on the season. Yeah, see, so if you look at the whole season, their pace is over 101. But if you look at the last 3 games when that happened, they're down to like 97.33. So it looks like they're just trying to make sure that they get they're more efficient with whatever possessions that they have. So that makes a lot of sense that for that under there. And that's a good look.
Just to add to that a little bit, just looking at our buddy Matt Porter's first quarter sheet. Trailblazers and Spurs, their first quarter pace for the last 10 games. We've got Trailblazers at 26 and Spurs at 18 in the league. So 26 out of 30 and 18 out of 30. So
Love it.
That's a good call out. Good call out. All right, so that was Spurs Blazers first quarter under 59.5 for Joey. Did anyone else have a look on this game? Nope. Okay. Let's go with Munaf. What did you have for best bet today?
Yeah, a couple games that we were looking at, and I think you and I are on the same side for this one, was the under in the Cavs and the Dallas Mavericks game here tonight. Kind of looking at it at their their stats overall. Cleveland number 2 as far as points in the paint allowed. They only give about 46 per game, and Dallas doesn't do a very good job of scoring inside the paint, where they only score about 43.8. But Cleveland has been one of the better defensive teams, both inside the paint and as far as defending the 3-point line as well. They're only allowing about 35% from 3-point line, which ranks number 13th in the entire league. And they only give up about 11 makes per game, which ranks number 6. And Dallas, their defense has been pretty good as well, defending the 3-point line. But I think the biggest thing that did kind of stick out to me is that both of these teams are one of the more slowest paced teams in the entire league. Cleveland number 29 as far as pace on the season, and Dallas is number 30. I know Dallas is one of those teams that has been trending toward the over, but I think, RC, you mentioned this earlier, that their games have been going over because they have been lower numbers.
Yeah.
But you kind of take a look at Cleveland on the season so far, 17-11 to the under. They're 8-6 to the under on the road, 4-2 to the under as a road underdog this season. So especially after Cleveland loss against San Antonio, where they did give up 112 points to that team, I think that they should come in a little bit more motivated to play defense here tonight against the Dallas team. And again, when we talk about totals in the NBA, I really like looking at pace. And when I see two of the slowest paced teams playing here tonight, I think it's gonna be a snail pace. We'll see a lot of half court offense. I think the defense should be up in this game. So I really like the under in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think like you said, both slow paced teams, both really strong defensively in their current spots. And I know Cleveland, they've been struggling offensively on the road as well. Let me see if I can bring up some stats here that I saved. So
I got it. I'll see if you need it real quick.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. Lead the way.
Yeah. No, so I was, looking at that game as well. Looking at the Cleveland Cavaliers, me and Munaf talked about it. I think they were they're actually last, RC. They have the worst offense over the last 2 weeks at home. I'm sorry, last 2 weeks on the road. The Cavaliers are the last, you can go look at that on NBA.com advanced stats. Worst offense last 2 weeks on the road.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's important to mention that Darius Garland, he messed his hand up in that game. Following the beat writers, they talked about, him. I thought it could be a potential breakout game because he has some of the biggest differentials and splits, RC, between like home road. He's averaging 14 points less at home, 14 points less on the road than he does at home. And I think, in that game, he had another horrendous shooting night, but I think you could, kind of charge it up to, some of it just being that hand injury, which also probably bodes well for this under. Yeah.
So just looking at some of the queries that I was looking at last night. So most of the things, to me, it was pointing towards the towards the Mavs. Actually, I know a lot of things are pointing towards the under as well, like Munaf said. But from a side perspective, Cavaliers as road dogs here, 1-5 straight up, 1-5 against the spread. And at the current line, we're really just kind of focusing in on who would just win the game, right? So I know from let's go to the Mavericks here. And we look at them as home favorites, and we look at the ATS numbers here, 4-9-1, but 11-3 straight up. So if we toggle the line, everything from like the lower lines here, they're able to cover. They did win this game by just 1 point, so they didn't cover by 3.5. That was pretty tight here. Other than that, they've been taking care of business. Look at the 41. They won by 41 here, won by 19 here, and they beat the Warriors here at home. I know. So here's one thing that kind of goes for Star Child, and I know he's on that first quarter over. We know Luka is always in there for the full first quarter, and a lot of those things point towards that first quarter over. That's their highest point scored for their team specifically. Other than that, though, a lot of things point towards the under and also to the Mavs. So the one thing that someone mentioned, I forgot who mentioned this. I swear I just talked about it, but Cavaliers off of a loss, right? So we're looking at Cavaliers off of a loss. 6-4 straight up, 5-4-1 ATS. But if we look at it from a different angle here and say that they're on the road, 2-3 straight up, 2-3 against the spread. If we look at the games here, they barely covered this one by a half point there. Obviously they got dominated here by the Bulls, but other than that, you got the Kings, Warriors, and Bucks that they lost outright to. And when I look at the wins and the losses, I compare the Mavs more closely to the ones that they lost to than the ones that they won, right? Because the Pistons and Bulls, they're both really struggling so far on the season as far as win-loss. And on the other side, we got, I know Warriors haven't been super dominant, but I still think of them as a higher tier team than normal. And you got the Kings and Bucks who also have a winning record on the season. So for me, a lot of the spots are pointing towards the Mavericks in this one, even though their ATS numbers aren't really super strong. Hopefully that makes sense. But I got you down, Munaf, as Cavs Mavs under 216. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
That Bulls one too. Don't forget that was when they pretty much sat half the team.
Did they?
Yeah, Doncic didn't go, and then a blank on the other names, but they didn't put out a normal roster that game.
Oh, got you. Okay. That makes sense then. All right, so 1, 2, 3. Mitch, you got a play today that you want to go and break down?
Yeah, let's do it. So I was actually looking at for some reason I always find myself looking at these OKC games. I was really liking Miami first quarter. So the Miami first quarter on the road, depending on where you're looking, it's they're 9-3-1 or 9-4 in their last couple or on the season. And OKC is the second worst first quarter team in the league. They were the second worst 2 days ago before they gave up a crap ton to Dallas. So they might even be the worst now. OKC is 1-3 in their last 4 at home first quarter. And they're also coming off 5 on the road. So it's one of those back at home first quarter, you don't have your legs underneath you quite just yet. You're, as some people in the industry like to say, fuck your wife, kiss the kids, kind of thing. So go home, say hi to everyone, and you're not so focused on that first quarter. So I'm looking for Miami to catch these guys sleeping when they get home, and then as sort of like a second look on this, I'm really looking at OKC second half. OKC at home has the highest point differential margin. They're winning third quarters by an average of 7.5 points. So, if the Miami's got any type of lead going in the half, I'm hopping on OKC for that second half. It just seems sort of like an auto play. Just like it was last year, they seem to tank, let everyone get ahead, and then they try and play catch up and say, hey, these other teams are getting their foot off the gas because they've got the W secured, and we're just going to catch up and play cover the spread, and yeah. So I really like OKC second half, and I really like this Miami first quarter on the road. Yeah, that's
so
that's probably my top.
It would be like take the Heat. So take the Heat first quarter and then go live on the Thunder after that.
Yeah, if and if it catches and then and if it doesn't, then if you're watching a game, there's going to be some ebbs and flows. There's going to be some, it's a game of runs, right? So I'm sure you'll be able to catch one of these teams in a great spot. So I really like OKC for that second half, and I really like Miami to come out strong. OKC coming off that 5-game road trip, first game at the house. I think they'll start off a little slow.
Here's that little point that you were making about the third quarter. You can see when they're home dogs, when the Thunder are home dogs, they have a plus 7.6 margin in that third quarter. So they come out the gate pretty strong there. So wow. I know my book, they only allow the third quarter prior to the game, but I'm not too sure how everyone else's works. But if you guys like that third quarter look that Mitch mentioned, it cashed the other day against the Mavs, I think it was. And we talked about that on the show as well. But that Thunder third quarter, when they're down at a half, has been a pretty strong look throughout the season. So that's just one way to look at it if you want to take a live look on the Thunder there.
What was it? I think it was just in comparison. I think they're like 7.5, and the next best team was like 4.5 or something. So it wasn't even close.
Yeah, shout out to Matt Porter in the chat. He's the one that he's been providing that one first quarter numbers. He has a Google Doc. I'll probably need to get permission from him to share it, but I think it's a really helpful document just to kind of see everything overall. But yeah, shout out to Matt. All right, so everyone gave up a best bet here with a sorry. Mitch, yours was the first quarter, right? On the Heat. My bad. Mitch, was that your best bet first quarter on the Heat?
Yeah. We'll say that first quarter.
What number was it?
I had it at them at a pick'em or money line at -120 Heat money line. So even if I've got an option for the push if they don't do as I think.
Yeah, I like it. Feel free to share. All right, so this is what the Google Doc looks like. Matt put this together. So what he's showing here, I don't know how clear you can see it on your screen, but he has every single game on the board here and the first quarter numbers, spread, team total, and some of the records here as far as like how they do in those spots. So you have the record, today's line, and their records, their overall record, first quarter margin, team ratings, all that good stuff is in here. And he even has a heat map on this, so you can kind of see where the big gaps are. So like on this Golden State Warriors, if you guys watch Jay's show, he talks about the Pacers first quarter struggles, and you can kind of see that real quick with this strong red here versus the green there. But obviously Warriors on the back-to-back, so teams are good. They're not going to have everybody. So that's one thing to note as far as that goes. But I'm going to share this Google Doc here. I'll put it in the link for everybody. So shout out to Matt for that. You guys can look around. It is view only, so you guys can't mess it up. All right, so let's do sorry. Let's think about what's another game that you guys want to kind of break down here live on the show that maybe is more of a lean right now, but we want to get to the window with it.
Let's look at the Bulls and the Knicks.
Bulls and Knicks. All right, let's do that.
Yeah,
right,
I like
we
that
got
one.
The Bulls here on the road. So let's just bring up Bulls. So we got the Bulls 11-15 on the season here, on a road to home, right? And they lost. This is one where they lost by that AJ Griffin buzzer beater. So they're pretty rested. 2-2, 2 days rest for both teams here. We look at them on the road. 4-10 straight up, 6-7-1 ATS. Really struggling on the road recently. 4 straight losses. All dog spots here. Oh shoot! Wait, Bulls are at home.
If you're
Bulls
looking, if you're looking at Bulls, they're at home today.
Bulls at home. Sorry, 7-5 straight up. Really strong towards the under. Yeah. Now I remember. I had to look towards the under in this one. Both teams are rested. Both 2 days rest. They are home favorites. So if we go back and look at them as home favorites, the under I think hits at a higher rate, 5-1 to the under. This one went over obviously against the Bulls, and this is the one that Joey was saying everybody pretty much sat out for the Mavericks in this one. So and the Mavs were on the second game of back-to-back. So for the most part, I really do lean towards the under in this one. What did you guys have to look at?
I think that one thing that kind of stuck out to me in this game is that the New York Knicks, offensively on the road, are actually number 1 in offensive rating. If you want to go maybe last 5 games or last 10 games, which would kind of makes me nervous about the under in this game. Yeah. They are 128.7 as far as offensive rating in the last 5 games. Last 10 games on the road, and then last 5 they're still number 1 as far as offensive rating.
Go back here.
Kind of looking at the pace numbers, I think both these teams are more of the slower pace teams in the entire league. Chicago is top 10 and New York is number 13. And they do give up a lot of 3-point makes as well, right? New York gives up about 13 per game, which ranks number 26. And then Chicago's at around 12.8, rounded up to 13, which is around 24. But Chicago maybe doesn't have this the actual, a lot of 3-point shooters on their team. Maybe outside of Zach LaVine, I don't think there's really much of an option. Maybe Nikola Vucevic, but yeah, that's kind of stuck out to me. But also New York, they rank number 6 in points in the paint allowed, which is was kind of surprising to me as well. But
one thing, real quick, do we know if Brunson is gonna play, or is he still more of a game time decision?
Yeah,
no news.
I guess I'm listed as questionable, right?
Yeah, he's so questionable.
Okay, because one of my co-hosts on the Triple Double mentioned that he was caught wearing a boot, and it's possible that he could probably be out longer than just this game. So it's interesting that he, that's known that he was in a boot, but they have him as questionable. But if he doesn't play, that's going to affect their offense a lot, right? I mean, he's their primary ball handler. He's the one that kind of pushes the pace there for them. I mean, not pace, but he's the one that runs the offense there for them. So I would assume if Quickly starts at point guard or whoever it might be, everything is gonna kind of be not really clicking at the moment, because like you mentioned, the last few games they've been really great offensively on the efficiency, but Brunson missing would affect that by a high. I feel like a lot, right? In my opinion, so that should affect their offense. I still think that would be more towards the under, especially how the Bulls do. Let's look at the Bulls real quick at home again and their defense.
See, I was kind of looking at this one a bit like that Miami one, just with the Knicks winning the last 9 first quarters in a row. I know they don't have Brunson, but maybe same thing. Play the Knicks first quarter and hop on Bulls live, just if you're playing straight trends. But I do really like the Bulls in the spot. I tend to fade the Knicks. They're one of my stay away teams, but they've burned me a couple of times trying to fade them on this run. So it's just something to think about with that 9-0 Knicks run. And if you are leaning Bulls, then maybe getting in a little bit later is a good idea.
As far as the total too, if we're looking at game flow and how the Bulls do at home, the second half looks really low. Look at their fourth quarter, just 51.6 compared to the rest of the quarters. Especially that first half, they're scoring a lot of points, but not not in the second half. So that's also something that we should probably look into a little bit more. Is that the same for them? Yeah, I mean, even on the road for the Knicks, they score more in the first half than the second half. So maybe a second half underlook on this one if they go over in the first half.
Yeah, the first half total right now is about 115.5 for the Knicks and the Bulls.
That seems kind of high.
It does.
115.5 and the full game total is 225.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes with what we're saying. The first half will be a higher scoring half than the first half.
Yep.
Sorry, higher than the second half.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna write that down because second half under might be the way to go with this one. All right.
Even if they're giving you less points, I see.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Because there's a significant gap between the first half and the second half.
Mm-hmm.
On both sides, Knicks on the road and Bulls at home. And that would probably be whether or not Brunson plays. But I don't think he does play. So the other thing that we talked about in Triple Double too is if we believe Brunson's not going to play, you'd probably take the Bulls now rather than later, because that line's going to move.
The under now too, I see, probably, right? Because that line gonna move and it's gonna drop down as well, right?
That's the part that I'm not too sure, right? Because all right, so offensively, I guess, yeah, I guess Brunson.
Or so, because if Brunson's out, they know that exactly what you were saying. They lose their primary ball handler, the guy that runs the offense. So you might miss out on a couple points if Brunson gets ruled out.
Yeah.
And you bring in Quickly, who is a defensive-minded player. That only helps the under even more.
Yeah.
He is more defensive-minded, but he also, I feel like, has a better three-point shot than Brunson.
Jacks.
Yeah.
Nick 6-0 to the under last 6 games too. I see overall. I know that their offense has been playing well, but their defense has really stepped up too. They're 8th rated defensively over the last 2 weeks on the road.
Yeah. Oh yeah, here's the other one. Knicks on the road and Knicks. Wait, what? Knicks on the road when rested. Oh, sorry. Knicks on the road when rested, 7-3 to the under. Again, it's really following that same path of over first half, under second half. But I think that's the way that I'm gonna go with this one. I'm just gonna go live on it on the second half, under. Because then we don't really have to worry about what happens in the first half.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take that second half under. All right. Any other thoughts on this one?
I had a quick prop if you guys want to hear it, but that's it.
Yeah, go ahead, dude.
I got DeMar DeRozan over rebounds and assists, 10.5. He's hit in 5 of 6. The 2 before that, he did hit 10. But at that point, the books had his line at either 8.5 or 9.5. So over the last 2 weeks, this prop has climbed from 8.5 to 9.5 to now 10.5. You can get over 10.5 for plus money. And he's hitting 5 of 6. If we're expecting, an under game, there's going to be a lot of boards for DeMar to be grabbing. He got 13 last game, and 9 and 7 the three prior games. If there's going to be no Desumnu, then there's more ball handling duties for DeMar. He had 8 assists, 5 assists in the last 2 games. So I'm thinking that DeMar can really hit this. And we saw him hit a stride last year in the middle of the season last year. What was it? He had 7 or 8 straight 30-point games in a row. So when DeMar is clicking, he's clicking. So it seems that this Bulls offense is straight running through him. He's still sitting back and grabbing boards on the defensive end because they really lack some size with Vooch being a pretty big softie. And so I think that that's a good look for this one.
The other thing with that too, you would think that they pull Mitchell out with Vucevic, right? And so that would leave opportunities for offensive rebounds for DeRozan as well.
Yeah. Because Vucevic likes to shoot the 3, likes to sit there, so that's definitely something in the cards. Levine's streaky, but Levine and Vooch, especially if they're sitting out there, they love to shoot their 3. So there's good easy assist targets. Knicks have a great 3-point defense, but it's a spot play. DeMar's going to get his rebounds and his assists, and they're missing one of their point guards. So
yeah, no, that makes sense. Cool. Yeah. All right, let's move on to another game. What else do we want to look at and break down here?
Kind of going back to that Thunder and Miami Heat game.
Yeah.
We talked about Tyler Hero tonight, PRA. That's one of my more favorite plays as well, with the under in that Cavs and Mavs game, especially without Jimmy Butler so far this season. He's been playing really well. If you kind of just look at his numbers, I'm trying to pull it up here. Averaging, I think it was 24 points per game. 21.4 points per game, 6.7 rebounds, and 6.1 assists in the 7 games without Jimmy Butler. Last game was against Detroit, 34 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. Going back against Boston, he had 22.6 rebounds and 9 assists. He had a triple-double against the Atlanta Hawks, 11, 11, and 10. Didn't have a great shooting night, but he was still able to fill up the stat sheet with the rebounds and assists. And he's also getting the attempts up as well, right? Without Jimmy Butler, 17.3 attempts per game. He's also getting up to 3-point shots as well, 7.7 attempts per game. So I think this might be a spot where Tyler Hero has a big night as far as filling up the box score for the Miami Heat. I think his PRA was 31.5, if I'm not mistaken.
34 and a half, I think it
34
was.
34 and a half. Okay. Yeah, 34 and a half. Yeah. Chris is right. So see a 33 and a half out there as well. So yeah, I think a lot of us did like the PRA for Tower Hero to go over tonight.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think one other person, man. So you bring up good points too, but Matt from the Triple Double Show, he also brought up good points with Bam over PRA as well, because so if we look at the Thunder, they play a high pace, right? They don't have really a paint presence either, and with Butler out, I think he also gets a lot more usage and he also gets more rebounds as well. And I think Dedmon, he's been playing hurt lately, so he doesn't really have a lot of minutes either. The only thing that worries me is if they the Thunder, their bigs can kind of shoot from the outside, they can kind of spread the floor a little bit. That's the only thing that really worries me about Bam getting defensive rebounds. But offensive rebounds is where it's at, because they're not an efficient offense, right? They're not. He should be able to get a lot of offensive rebounds in this opportunity here. If there's a quick pace, both teams really not. I think what is the Heat 26 in the offensive rating, true shooting percentage and effective field goal percentage, both in the bottom third of the league. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for offensive rebounds for Bam, even if he doesn't get the defensive rebounds, if that makes sense. So Bam, that Bam look as well, he was kind of selling me on that. Did you guys have a look on the total here at all? I can't remember if we talked about the total.
Ski popped in with a look to the under, RC.
Who did?
Ski did before we started just so he popped in with a look to the under. I think he official on the under. He kind of talked. I think he kind of talked us on it as well. We can look at that if you want to.
Yeah, I believe. I think their offensive efficiency takes a huge hit without Jimmy Butler. That was one thing that I do remember. And so I pulled that out on Spodevs when Jimmy Butler's not in. 7-3 to the under, averaging 114.2 per game. What's the total today?
This line got skinny down though. It started at 227, and I think it's down to 223.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense.
Right. Specifically, pull up the Heat's pace on the road as of late.
Like last 10 games or something?
Yeah, try that.
Yeah, I'm seeing 225s, and that's the lowest, and I think it opened at 227. So I don't know if Ski will still recommend playing that under.
I think you still do, because look. All right, so look at their offensive rating.
Shit.
Yeah, 105.8 offensive rating, but 106.6 defensive rating. So let's look at the Thunder. Thunder 116.1 and 113.2. So they would be driving the over for the most part, but their pace is, I guess it looks like their pace has been slowing down a little bit. 99 point under 100, right? Under 100. Yeah, bottom 10 in pace. When on the full season, I think they're top 10 in pace.
It's dropped. Actually, two other things to note on the Miami side is that, offensively, they're a lot better at home. On what I had on Monday when they played against the Pacers, they were rated 29th offensively over the last 2 weeks on the road, and they were rated 6th defensively on the road last 2 weeks. So, Miami's been struggling at home, but their defense typically comes to play on the road, and we saw that in the Pacers game, but the Pacers only scored like 82 points.
Yeah. Heat Thunder under. I like that. Even at the current number, 220, they're probably not even gonna hit 210. I mean, sort of. It seems like it.
Also, take a look at Miami's paint defense. They're number one in the entire league, where OKC thrives scoring points out of the paint, where they're number 4. They're giving up 56 points per game inside the paint. Miami only allows about 44.6, which is the best in the league. And both these teams are not very good 3-point shooting teams as well, right? So,
that's a good point right there. Yeah. So I'm looking at last 10. 43.8 allowed.
Miami.
Yeah, for Miami. So the best defending it, and then Thunder rely on that 54 points. That's more than about half of their points.
Yeah,
for the most part.
That's beautiful point, because if you were watching that Heat Pacers game, as soon as the Pacers even came close to the paint, it was a swarm over there. They had to kick it out. That's why it was such a 1999 score.
Yeah.
They boot out of that paint.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I like that. I like this under a lot more now. Obviously, we don't got a lot. We lost value because of the open number. Do you guys think anyone else is gonna sit that might affect the line at all or the total?
There's a couple game time decisions I think on Miami's side, like some Duncan Robinsons and some Struces, but nothing.
So I got Duncan Robinson being probable, Dedmon being questionable, Strus being probable, Vincent is out, Victor Oladipo is probable, Hero is probable, and Jimmy out. On the opposite side, Robinson Earl is out, and Kendrick Williams is out for the Thunder.
Got you.
So yeah, that
okay.
probably
So
plays well
for the
Hero.
most part, everyone is pretty much probable, right? Except for
everybody's probable except Dedmon.
Yeah. Okay.
Can't spell without under.
Yeah. Makes sense.
All
right. So
Hero drive into the lane. That seems like a good look.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like that under, and Ski being on it obviously is going to help. Give us a little bit of confidence. He's been hot lately. All right, I like it.
RC, real quick to Cedric's point, comment in the comment section. He said he wouldn't be surprised if Brunson has a fracture. So if you go in and look at Tommy Beer is one of the beat writers for the Knicks. He says that a few things to note about Brunson being questionable. It's a foot issue, not an ankle issue, which is very encouraging that he's not ruled out. And it's a right foot contusion, so it's not like it's sprained or anything. It's probably more like bruised.
But the thing is, have you played with a bruise, like a bruised like heel or anything like that?
Yeah, it hurt, especially when you run up and down the
shit. You can't do nothing, especially when you're the point guard and you rely on your shiftiness and stuff like that, bro.
Be able to cut. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's tough to do, and those last long too. You can't get rid of a bruise like that. You know what I mean? So that I could see him probably sitting. Let's see. All right, so I'm gonna go through what we talked about so far. Chris, you like the first half? Raptors -2.5. Kings Raptors full game under. For me, Spurs Blazers first quarter under 59.5 for Joey. Cavs Mavs under 216 from Munaf. Mitch likes the first quarter Heat money line. I think that's a good play, especially with playing. And then I think we kind of just talked over Bulls Knicks second half under, and then the Heat Thunder under. So we like a lot of unders today.
Yeah, and I like that Kings team total under too, but that correlates with that full game.
With the it does. So that makes sense. All right, so let me pull this off real quick. All right, man. Well, I feel like we had a pretty good show. We broke down a lot of things. This was I think efficient show as well. I think being able to kind of go through them, especially on a big slate, you don't want to go through every single game. You want to really focus in on the key ones that you have good edges, and then deep dive into those. So I think that's the way that we go on these bigger slates, especially when we have a full house like this. What do you guys have any last minute thoughts or any additions to what we discussed today? We can just go round table. Chris.
So initially, RC, not even initially, I guess additionally, that under in the Raptors and the Kings game, I'm definitely getting there with you on that as well. We talked about the inflated totals with the Kings not being as great offensively on the road. The Raptors probably try to play a lot better defense, should be a motivation spot for them. So I think that total is extremely too high. But I'll just say I like the under.
Yes, sir. Munaf, any last comments?
I will say this: if LaMelo Ball gets ruled in, I am betting the over in that pace, the Pistons and the Hornets game, because we know their defense just collapses anytime LaMelo Ball is into the lineup. So I did see earlier he got upgraded to questionable. So we'll see. Keep an eye out for LaMelo Ball here tonight.
Yeah, it's funny because I think the last time he was out for a while and then came back that first game, I tried to stay away from it. Yeah, it's not something that you stay away from. If LaMelo's in, you take that over. Joey, any last minute comments?
I think Bam out of bio props might be a look for people who like betting props. I don't see any Thunder who can really stop
The PRA?
Yeah. PRA, points plus rebounds. Especially if you like hero props today, he's got to feed somebody.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Mitch, any last ones?
Last one. I was trying to find a way to play this most efficiently, but just had Orlando and ATL game. I really like Orlando in this spot. What are they? They're 10-4 as home underdogs, and ATL is what 3-11 first half on the road. So I was just really trying to find my edge and the best way to play that one. I haven't really locked anything in yet, but that's somewhere I was really looking hard. I really like that Orlando versus ATL matchup today.
Do you think I think last time I saw Trey was questionable. What's his, is there any other news about that?
Nothing on either side yet has been announced.
It might be something to watch then, right? Because obviously we've been talking about this, but like when key players been going out, the bench players been showing up, so that's probably something to watch there. And to Star Child's comment here, worrying about the Raptors total, so not really, to be honest. I think right now with the CLV and all that stuff, all the discussions around that, I think we really need to just focus on our capping and how we look at these games versus where the line is moving. I mean, obviously it's something that to note, but we really got to see why it's moving in that direction. For the most part, and for me, I think it's going in the wrong direction. I think it's just giving us more value to take the under.
Same thing yesterday too, RC. That line moved against us as well. It was up to 229.5. Remember 230?
Yeah, when Fox got ruled in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that makes sense. Yeah, man. That's the show today, guys. I thought it went really well. Hopefully, everyone took some notes and got some good insight from everyone on the panel here. With that said, that's pretty much the end of the show. We'll be back here tomorrow. Same time, 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button before you bounce. Also, make sure you check out the links in the description as well. Not everybody on the panel is in that chalkboard group, but Chris is, Ski is, Finesse is. I believe Finesse might be with us tomorrow, so he's gonna be here after a long layoff as well from Let's Cap. And one last thing, I always remember to end with this. Whether you fade us or follow us, it is on you to make that call. Good luck on all your action. Till next time, peace.